One area of servicing the AC systems used on GMC light and medium-duty trucks that has changed in the past couple of years is the use of the ACR3 station in discharging, evacuating, and recharging the refrigerant system. In this video presentation, we will cover the setup, maintenance, and use of the ACR3 station and the diagnosis procedure for the CCOT AC system used on most GMC light and medium-duty trucks. Many repairs other than those directly involving the AC also require discharging refrigerant. For many internal engine and transmission repairs, you've got to get refrigerant lines or components out of the way, as well as for certain body repairs. The air conditioning reclaiming and recycling station makes it so you don't have to vent refrigerant 12 to the atmosphere, and it works with your existing shop equipment, manifold gauges, and charging stations. 3 new hoses that come with the ACR3 go on the manifold set and charging station. These hoses are designed to keep Freon from escaping to the outside air. When you use the ACR3 station for the first time, you have to install the filter dryer assembly. Take out the screws that hold the filter cap on its shell. There's a bracket inside that goes to the filter dryer core. Clean everything off with a lint-free cloth and throw away the little piece of cardboard. The filter dryer core is inside a sealed can. Take it out when you're ready to install it and use a new filter cap gasket if the old one is damaged. The spring goes in the center of the filter cap. The upper bracket goes onto the spring and the center boss fits into the coil with the plate edges facing upward. Then the filter dryer core goes on the upper bracket. The screened lower bracket goes onto the core next, and then the tie rods go in. Tighten them all the way. Put the whole assembly into the shell. Put the bolts back in and tighten them down to 15 foot-pounds in a star-shaped pattern. The blue hose goes on the vacuum pump next. You should run the pump for 10 minutes to get all the air out of the filter. Then turn the pump off and take off the hose. Before you attach the recovery tank to the ACR3, remove the sealing cap and open one of the valves. This bleeds off dry nitrogen under pressure used to keep the tank clean for shipment. Don't use any new tank that doesn't have the seal or doesn't hiss when you open the valve. The storage tank goes on the scale platform at the back of the station. If you put the bottom lip of the tank around the outside diameter of the standoff that's welded to the platform, the tank will be centered on the scale. Put the strap around the tank loosely so the tank can't fall over. Now the red hose at the rear of the station goes onto the vacuum pump. The blue hose goes to the port marked liquid on the tank. Open the liquid valve and turn the vacuum pump on. Let the system build up vacuum in the tank for about 10 minutes. Then turn off the vacuum pump and disconnect the hose from it. Then connect the red hose to the port marked vapor on the tank. Open the vapor valve and the tank is all set. Initially, and at least once a month, you should make sure the scale is calibrated. This is critical for the compressor to shut down when the tank is full. Get a 45-pound weight and put it on the scale. This should trip the switch, or just about trip it. If the switch trips, the scale calibration is all set. If the switch doesn't trip, add another 2 pounds. This should definitely make it trip if the scale is properly calibrated. If the extra weight doesn't trip the switch, take off the 2-pound weight and undo the lock nut on the trip screw. Turn the trip screw just enough to trip the switch. Tighten the lock nut and take the big weight off too. Check your calibration by putting the 45-pound weight back on. It should trip the switch. Whenever you discharge refrigerant from an AC system, use the ACR3 recovery and recycling station. If possible, run the engine for a couple of minutes with the AC on. Then connect the manifold gauge set to the accumulator and the compressor Schrader fittings using the new hoses and adapters. Connect the inlet hose from the ACR3 to the center fitting on the manifold gauge set. Open the vapor and liquid valves on the ACR3, as well as both valves on the manifold gauge set. Plug in the ACR3, Turn the power on and push the compressor start switch. It should turn off by itself when the recovery operation is finished. Check for an increase in pressure after 2 minutes. Then push the switch to start the compressor again and repeat the recovery operation. Next, you want to get all the oil out of the accumulator. Open up the accumulator pressurizing valve on the ACR3 for 15 seconds. This lets some pressure back into the accumulator. Slowly open the drain valve at the bottom of the accumulator and let the oil run out into the calibrated cup. Close the valve when the oil stops running. Be sure not to let all of the pressure out of the accumulator. Also, when recharging the system, be sure to replace the amount of oil that was recovered in the amount of up to 2 ounces. The ACR3 turns itself off when a tank is full. It's best if you wait until a storage tank is completely full to perform a recycling operation. Just be sure not to put refrigerant from a storage tank back into a vehicle until after it's been through the recycling process. Keep your non-recycled and recycled storage tanks separate and marked so you don't get them mixed up. To recycle refrigerant, open both valves on the recovery tank. Turn on the recycle start switch. The light should come on, along with the compressor. You can see refrigerant going through the moisture indicator as the station starts up. After a few seconds, you'll see the bubbles clear out if there's enough refrigerant to perform an efficient recycling operation. Let the ACR3 go for at least half an hour until the center dot in the moisture indicator turns the same shade of green as on the reference sticker. It could take up to 2 hours if the moisture indicator is yellow at the start. Turn the recycling station off when the dot turns a proper shade of green. You can use recycled refrigerant to recharge AC systems in exactly the same way as new drums. After recycling about 300 pounds of refrigerant, that's about 10 full storage tanks, the filter dryer core should be replaced. You'll know it's time when it takes more than 2 hours to recycle a full storage can of refrigerant. Close the liquid valve on the storage tank and connect the blue hose to the recovery station inlet. This step and the one that follows are absolutely critical to avoid releasing R12. Serious injuries, including blindness and death, have resulted from contacting or inhaling liquid refrigerant. Start up the compressor to pull all the refrigerant from the ACR3 into the storage tank. The compressor will turn off by itself. Now it's safe to open the filter. Undo the bolts that hold the filter dryer cap to the shell. Then take out the tie rods and remove the core from the brackets. Clean off all the internal parts inside the filter dryer assembly. Filter dryer reassembly is exactly the same as installing the core during setup. The complete procedure is contained in Section 1B of the service manuals. Before recharging the air conditioning system, it has to be completely evacuated, purged of all the old freon and residual contaminants. That's what the evacuation procedure is for. If you have an automatic charging station or special equipment, follow the instructions that came with them. The following method uses a simple vacuum pump, a scale, your manifold set, the vehicle's compressor, and a storage container of freon. Check out your equipment beforehand to prevent any accidents. The gauges have to be properly calibrated in order not to overcharge the system. With the low pressure gauge disconnected from the refrigerant system, the needle should be centered at 0. Tap it a couple of times so you're sure it isn't sticking. You can calibrate a gauge this way if you have to. Take off the cover and turn the adjusting screw until the indicator is centered on 0. Then give it another tap to make sure it doesn't stick and put the cover back on. Check out your vacuum pump too before you connect it to the refrigerant system. It has to be able to get at least 28 or 29 inches of vacuum at sea level. For every 1,000 feet above sea level, you can subtract 1 inch of vacuum from the spec. If the vacuum pump is okay, but you can't build up enough vacuum during evacuation, the AC system on the vehicle has a leak or a loose fitting somewhere. You're just about ready now. Put the storage drum on an accurate scale and write down the weight of the drum. You'll be keeping an eye on the scale when the system is charging. Connect your manifold gauges this way. The low pressure gauge goes to the Schrader valve on the accumulator. Attach the center hose to the storage tank. Be sure that the tank valve remains closed when you evacuate the system. Then, attach the high pressure gauge to the vacuum pump. To begin evacuation, slowly open both valves on the gauge set and start up the vacuum pump. Keep it up until the low pressure gauge reads between 28 and 29 inches of vacuum. Again, if you cannot build up enough or any vacuum, check the pump and refrigerant lines. The system is completely cleared out when the low pressure gauge reads close to 30 inches of mercury. Some technicians prefer to leave the vacuum attached for several minutes at this point, just for good measure. It's not a bad idea. Turn off the vacuum pump and watch the low pressure gauge for about 5 minutes to see if the system holds vacuum. This is a good way to check for leaks. If the system holds vacuum, go ahead and disconnect the vacuum hose at the gauge. If it doesn't hold vacuum, add 1/2 pound of R12 and leak check the system. If you find a leak, discharge the system back into the ACR3 recovery station, repair the leak, and repeat the evacuation procedure. Finally, to recharge the system, remember, it must be completely evacuated first. With CCOT air conditioning, it's not safe anymore to just add refrigerant until you think the system is fully charged. The only safe way to recharge is to recover, evacuate, and then fill the system to spec with the proper amount or weight of refrigerant and oil. When you're ready, start the engine and warm it up. Make sure the AC is off. Turn the storage drum upside down on the scale and open the valve. You need to get about 1 pound of refrigerant into the system this way to start the process. Next, turn the AC on normal and the fan on high to draw in the remaining charge. System capacities for each model are given in the reference manual, as well as under the specifications in the service manuals. If you run a fan in front of the vehicle, it will keep the condenser temperature lower than the drum and charge the system faster. When you've reached the spec, close the valve on the drum. Let the engine run another 30 seconds to clear the lines and gauges. Take the low side hose off the accumulator while the engine is still running. In this videotape, we are using quick seal hoses that do not require an adapter for charging the system. If you use hoses that require an adapter, be sure to disconnect the adapter from the accumulator first before disconnecting the adapter from the hose. Unscrew it pretty fast to prevent too much refrigerant from escaping into the atmosphere. Finally, put the cap back on the Schrader valve and turn the engine off. Do a quick but thorough leak check. Then, start the engine back up and see how the AC works. If the temperature at the right duct outlet is decent, the system is serviced completely and correctly. Now on to diagnosis. We all know what air conditioning is supposed to do. What about when it doesn't, or doesn't do it well enough? Air conditioning components work together, and they must be tested together. Fortunately, there are only a few general things that can go wrong: leaks, restrictions, obstructions, and pump failure. Unless you do it every day, you're going to find that you need the service manual to perform complete diagnosis properly. Skip some of the steps, and you could end up replacing components that are okay and miss fixing what's really wrong. Preliminary checks always come first. Obviously, you want to check the AC gauge's fuse to see if it's blown, as well as any wires and connectors that belong to the air conditioning system, the compressor clutch, the cycling pressure switch, the control head, and the blower. Repair any of these conditions as needed before going on to the refrigerant system. The engine's cooling fan has to be working properly for adequate AC cooling. This is because you need enough airflow across the condenser to remove heat. The belt for the AC compressor should be in place and tight enough to drive the unit without excessive tension. Replace the belt if needed. In this case, the compressor is not seized up, but is the clutch engaging correctly? You have to have the proper conditions to test this. Outside, the air temperature should be at least 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Warm the engine up and run it at 1,000 RPM. Turn the AC on normal and the fan on high. You might need a second fan in front of the vehicle to simulate the air of normal driving. Watch the clutch for 5 minutes. If it stays on all the time, go to Chart B in the service manuals. If the clutch cycles on and off, continue with this procedure in Chart A. Feel the high side refrigerant line between the condenser and the expansion tube. If it's cold, it means there's a restriction in the high pressure side of the refrigerant system, somewhere between the compressor outlet and the orifice tube itself. A frost or cold spot on the condenser or along a refrigerant line indicates a restriction. Recover, repair, evacuate, and recharge the system. Then reevaluate how the whole system operates. You may have just fixed the insufficient cooling condition. The refrigerant line between the condenser and expansion tube should be warm, since the R12 is supposed to be warm under pressure. If it is, feel both the inlet and outlet lines at the evaporator. If both lines are about the same temperature, or if the outlet is colder than the inlet, go to Chart D in the manuals. If the evaporator inlet is colder than the outlet, leak check the system, especially in or around the evaporator. Recover and repair any leaks found. Then evacuate and recharge the system. Then reevaluate how the whole system works. If you know for sure there are no leaks, go to Chart C in the manuals. In this case, diagnosis charts don't pick up exactly where the last one left off. Now, let's go through a quick review of the performance test. Connect the refrigerant gauge set with the low pressure gauge hose at the accumulator service port and the high pressure gauge hose to the service port in the compressor discharge line. Run the engine at the specified RPM found in the appropriate service manuals. Set the controls for maximum cooling for 5 minutes or long enough to stabilize the air conditioning system. Make sure that the airflow is proper across the condenser, radiator, and evaporator. Check to see that the fan drive control and blower are operating properly. Also, check for door adjustment and be sure that there are no duct leaks. When the compressor clutch begins to cycle on and off, the system is generally stabilized. Then, you can read the pressure and the air outlet temperature and compare them with performance data in the service manuals. Measure the temperature of the right side cooling air outlet. It should be in the 40 degree to 50 degree Fahrenheit range if the system is performing okay. The accumulator low pressure gauge will be in the 23 to 49 psi range. If it goes below 20 psi or over 51 psi, the cycling pressure switch isn't working properly. And the high pressure gauge will read in the 150 to 250 psi range, depending on outside air temperature conditions. Remember to check the service manual performance data for exact specifications. And in hot weather, measure the air temperature in front of the condenser to select the right data. Remember that the clutch should disengage around 25 psi to prevent evaporator freeze-up. The actual range specified is 20 to 28 psi, and it should engage within the range of 41 to 51 psi. With a cycling pressure switch that isn't cycling properly, recovery of the R12 is not necessary to replace the switch. The pressure switch fitting on the accumulator has a Schrader-type valve. One last point worth mentioning is that the refrigerant pressures will equalize through the orifice tube when the system is shut off. That's all for now, and as the saying goes, keep cool.